Hey, ladies and gents, it's Sizzlers here with the review of the Mythic Legions Poxxus and Phlogeus, his horse. So, I actually picked up a 2-pack of these guys. Look at how massive it is. 2 in 1. There's the horse, and there's the Poxxus. Because I have been collecting the 2-packs, I feel like they are a little bit rarer, and even though I got an all-in, I separately ordered a 2-pack because at the end of the day, I want all the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse in package so I can hopefully find like some acrylic boxes or something to put them in and then just stack them. Anyway, that's the plan. But these also come in separate packaging, and you can see the amazing artwork by Nate Barch there on the back. There's Poxxus with his Plague Slayer bow and his arrow. You have Erethyr. You have Alithia. And then back here, there's Alithia. And then you have back here, you have Necronominus. So awesome. Nate, wow. This is some really cool packaging. Then you have Phlogeus. So, let's put the horse before the cart, since the package is here, and I'll read you this bio, or I'll try to. It says, Phlogeus, a terrifying visage of sickness and decay, the spiteful god Poxxus is pestilence incarnate, dripping with disease and crackling with menace. The horrific sight of Poxxus alone is enough to inspire dread. Armed once again with his deadly bow, the Plague Slayer, Poxxus can fire off hordes of infectious insects with every pull of his string. Triumphantly riding atop his rotting horse, Phlogeus, Poxxus travels the roads of Mythos with the intention of poisoning the realm and all those that live within. Wow. Man, that is a well-written bio. So, nice job. I mean, just terrifying. A terrifying way to go. Pestilence. And you have, the fact that we lived through a pandemic, or we're living through a pandemic, or whatever. What an appropriate figure to sort of usher us out or usher us in. But I mean, this guy is the stuff of nightmares. But at the same time, he is incredibly cool, incredibly detailed. And so, without further ado, here we go. Or without further ado. My wife pointed out that his horse, she said I should do this, okay? If it doesn't go over. You take the head from Slog, the extra head from Slog, and you put it down there, and it looks like his horse has had a particularly big meal. So, a genius of the 4 Horsemen to think of that, mixing lines and giving us that sort of accessory. No, it's not. I mean, it's just a joke. But the tail goes up and down, so if you want to recreate that scene, all you need is Slog's extra head. Let's look at Phlogeus. All right. So, yeah, he's rotting away all right. He is has seen better days. So, look at his face. You can see most of the decay there where his skin has rotted away, and then you can see the green muscle striations, the blind eyes, the boils, and then the exposed bone here in the front. Look at that. God, it's ugly. I think the French have a saying for something called beautiful ugliness, and I think this may be it. It's fascinating, right? The pustules and the different discolored eye and the bone, and it's hard to look away, and it's an incredibly beautiful job that the 4 Horsemen have done with Phlogeus. But at the same time, yeah, it's disgusting. And I have a friend whose wife says that she doesn't want this thing in the house. But, depending on how creepy the people around you are, or you can have him hidden away. Look at this fleshy piece just like sloughing off, right? And you can take the head off. It's cool. I've hit this guy with the hairdryer before to just loosen the joints, and I suggest you do that. But sometimes when I do that, as I'm doing the review, things are a little looser than they normally would be. But this mane just kind of reminds me of dripping seaweed. I like the understated tones on his kind of rusty armor that he has. We've seen most of this before, but this is a very, very different horse. And then one of the legs seems to be decaying faster than the others. The hoof is chipped, right? And then you have like exposed tendon. And I think the reason that the Four Horsemen did this was because they, didn't want to make a full decaying horse, because then there's no possibility for parts reuse, or very little possibility for parts reuse on it. And it's important to be able to do that. And that would have been a one-off in a full horse. This is a giant mold and very, very expensive. But you know what? I like the effect of the fact that this guy is partially rotted and not all the way there, so to speak. So that's the horse, right? And you can't have a horseman of the apocalypse without the horse. But okay, like, wow. All right. Poxxus himself is incredibly amazing. And I'm hearing people talking about how this is the best figure and their favorite. And I don't think it's just recency bias. I think he is so intricately detailed. There's so many cool, horrific elements to it that I just can't see how anyone just wouldn't be completely blown away by this guy. All right. The paint, right? The touch of iridescence here on these insect legs that protrude out of his head, right? They're delicate, but they're also movable. So they're not going to just break off like a piece of resin, right? They've got some give to them, which is good. And I was kind of worried about that, because whenever you have really thin, spindly pieces that are hyper detailed, it's obviously going to be easier for them to break. But the plastic seems strong and high quality. And yeah, you got that give. So like if he falls or whatever, it will flex instead of just snap off. And the way the insect legs, right, or appendages or whatever they are, and the horns just protrude out of his head is amazing, right? It creates this crown, so there's a regal element to it. And then just look at the detail, right? Those eyes, the dead eyes, the little numerous horns that are also protruding from the skin asymmetrically. The lack of the nose, which I imagine has rotted away, the teeth, the wash on the teeth, the incredible amount of detail on the beard, all these like hair clumps, and it's just an amazing effect. This sort of down here kind of looks like a scarab, that ornamentation on his beard, which is cool because that's also sort of an image of death. Look at how expressive and cool these set of hands are, right? I just got him. Looks like he's shrugging and going, hey, what's up? Right? Okay, so then, I'll move his head a tiny bit, and then you'll see down here a very, very cool belt buckle. Look at all the intricately painted rivets, all that detail work. Right here, this bag is really cool because it's got like some sort of insect or monster-y creature that's poking its little legs or appendages out of the holes. And that's just amazing. Then you have a couple of little tiny vials here on the side, a purple one and then a green one, and then more detail work. I love how he's got a, wired loincloth, but then on top of it, he's got this canvas like sackcloth sort of is what comes to mind, where it's all tattered and torn and stuff. Very cool. The armor's used to cool effect, right? Because it's also got like a patina and a little bit of rust on it. Got that green. And then right here from his belt where he has his pouches and I imagine noxious poisons and diseases and biological agents or whatever, more of these long insectoid legs is what I'm guessing they are, right? And and there's one over here, but it's not entirely symmetrical. So very cool effect. Got some chainmail poking out of these really cool pauldrons. Again, the patina, and then, the pauldrons are worn and broken. So everything about this guy suggests sort of decay, suggests, the fact that this guy and his horse are agents of chaos, and they're going to cause everything to fall apart. It's death, decay, disease. Right? And then adding to the regal appearance of this horrific crown protruding from his head, he has a halo of sorts, a translucent halo that, gives him like this unholy saint type vibe, something that's maybe was once holy, but then became corrupted. And it also adds to that regal element, right? Even though he's decayed and dirty and diseased, there's a regal element to him. And that is portrayed with that crown coming out of his head and the halo in the back, that translucent golden halo. And then, of course, I love this soft goods bit here that he has. Again, giving me that sort of like sackcloth and ashes sort of vibe. But look at the translucent, like, yellow, golden, honey-colored wings that he has. These are absolutely amazing. We've seen these before with the Sphexians and stuff, but, the veins and the way they painted them, the way they they hit it with the, every detail being allowed to pop. And these wings are just spectacular, amazing level of detail, and the translucent 100% out of the park. You look here in the back, and that little attachment is genius because it holds not only his halo, but it holds his wings. So there's a lot, right, going on with this figure. He's absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, I think for sure, this is my favorite of the Horsemen so far. Okay, but I do have a few cautions for people with this. There is a lot going. Oop, he fell, right? But there's a lot going on with this figure, and he's got the heavy wings on the back. He's probably going to need a stand over time, right? Even though I think he stands pretty well now. But there's just so much. And then when you add his weapons and you add the extras to him, there is a lot of detail. And it's sort of like Arethyr, where you have this figure with so much going on that he's really not going to be able to, I guess, hold everything and have everything going on, up and on. He's just going to be... And in my display, obviously, he's going to be seated on his horse. He's going to be coming down from the clouds, from the ceiling, right? And I'm just not going to futz with them too much, right? I see him as one of those figures that are great for display, great for pictures, but not so much for play. Like, you can't give this to a kid and be like, okay, have at it, because there's just too much going on. There's going to be something's going to break, something's going to snap, something's going to fall off, and something's going to frustrate you, right? If you, there's kind of hard to keep him in the focus, because he's more, I think, for display than he is for play. Just because, let's take a look at his weapons here, okay? He comes with, it's the same bow, but it's been activated, okay? This is the fully activated bow the Plague Sayer. It's got these translucent wings, and I've been futzing around with it for a while, and I haven't been able to really get it to work because I think I'm kind of stupid, right? If you want somebody who's really good at this, go to watch Dorklair's review, because he's got it all set up where you can see exactly how this has worked. I just haven't had the time to like find out all the intricacies. Like I said, he's smarter than me. He's better at reviewer than me. Go and definitely subscribe to his channel, because he's one of the best ones out there. So look at this. These are the pestilent spreading insects, right? And it hooks in here, and there's a couple of tiny little hooks, and I just haven't been able to get that sweet spot and figure out how to keep it. I know he has the hands that are necessary to hold them. I know he can hold the bow in a certain pose where it looks great, and he's shooting the arrows and everything. But Dorklair did it. I haven't been able to do it yet. And then I just kind of lost a little bit of patience. And I broke off one of these tiny little pieces here on one side. And I don't know if that's affecting my ability to do it. But if I'm going to set him up shooting his bow, which I eventually will, I think what I will do is I will, take a little, maybe string or, and tie it on there permanently, because I broke off that little piece, which I can easily glue back on, but luckily it has those little sprues coming out on both sides, so the fact that I broke it on one side is okay. I could just put it on. I could just use the other sides, but you got to be careful about these little details. You got the bowstring, it's elastic, right? That works. I was messing with this individual arrow, because you can have him with the individual arrow as well, and that shot off across the room. So it actually works. Don't point it at anybody, and don't point it at yourself, because you could have, a tiny translucent insectoid arrow sticking out of your eye. All right, but see how that fits on there? That fits on there really nicely. But I still haven't figured out how to properly configure him. And I wanted to get the review out, and I'm like, oh man, this could take me forever. And by the time I review this and figure it out and everything, I'll be the last person on the planet to review this. I'm slow on the uptake. All right, here's the bow when it's not activated, when the wings aren't out. And so you can have that too. You can put that over his back or whatever. And then, so you got the two bows, and then you have the quiver, and then you have all the arrows that go on that. You can clip that on the back. I don't know if I'm going to put that on there or not. It all depends on my final display. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set him up in the coolest pose possible, flying out of the sky, and then I'm just going to leave him there, right? Because and then you have this dagger that's sheathed right there. So he has a dagger. So if his chemical weapons aren't enough for you, he can come up to you in close combat and he can stab you. Extra hands, gripping hands, they have the swivel so that he can hold a sword or his dagger or whatever and go this way, and then you have a separate pair of hands so they can go in and out in that way. So there's that 4 pair of gripping hands. And then there's looser gripping hands, right? And then there's the 2 hands that he came with, which I love. That, see, things fall off, right? His halo just fell off. And then there's the gesticulating hands. So, like I said, this could get frustrating. One tip about the halo is that you put it in here and you hook it in to the back of the this piece. You slot it in there, and it fits in nice, and it once you snap it in there, I think it's going to be pretty sturdy, but it wasn't completely intuitive. And, you know, when you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, like me, it takes a while. And I would say that I think it probably would be a good idea for directions somewhere for the Horsemen. Put directions on exactly how to put this guy together, right? I'm sure Jeremy's already covered that in one of his Mythic conversations, but I had to go and check out Dorklair's review, and then he, of course, he's awesome, so he told me how to do it. All right, and then I've got the Poxxus bio here that I think is identical to the one that was on the horse. He's crackling with menace, man. So the leader of the Circle of Poxxus is finally here. Does not disappoint. Extremely exciting. Just, you know, going to be a centerpiece of the collection. Once you figure out where all the bits and bobs go and all the pieces go and stuff. I'm telling you, this guy's a must get. There's nothing out there that's anything like this guy that I know of. I think the Four Horsemen are absolutely unrivaled when it comes to, first of all, the imagination behind the designs. Eric Treadway, you know, creative genius. Nobody else can hold a candle to him when it comes to these kind of wild, crazy character designs. Second of all, the level of detail, the sculpt, unparalleled. Nobody else is as good. And call me a shill or whatever, but hey, just speaking facts. Third, execution, the factory, the paint work, everything, you know, 100% home run, stellar, amazing. I'm running out of superlatives. It's kind of embarrassing because I'm gushing over this, but when you get yours, and I've got my two, I've got my 2-pack, and I've got my separate pack, you will not, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Packed with goodies, packed with extras, packed with this disgusting horse, and just amazing. All right, that's my review. Is to Wiz, signing out.